right, you have my beautiful wife, Rofenuya, from the Lion tribe of Yehuda. Then to the left, you have my beautiful wife, Atara, from the tribe of Lewi. Shalom. All right, this is part 2 to our polygyny discussion. A lot of people have tons of questions. I mean, they always hit me up asking me so many questions. They want to know about polygyny, how it works, what do y'all do. So we got tons of questions. Let's get some of these questions out the way. Some of them may be harsh. Some people love polygyny. Some people can't stand polygyny. Some people love polygyny so much that they're watching this video to join and get down with the home team, baby. Woo, woo! All right. The first question: did any of you have children before entering into your polygyny relationship, and how hard was it to get the children to adjust?
I came in this relationship with 4 children. And I'd say that was one of the biggest hurdles that I had to overcome. And most people may think that it's jealousy, but no, because me and Rofina, we definitely clicked way before, I came into this relationship, so it wasn't even that. But it was difficult because the children don't understand the concept of polygamy. But it was easy also because most of our children share birthdays, they share age, and, kids tend to click with children their same age. So it wasn't that hard, but it was a little bit more difficult than I thought. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, I have another question from my brother Yehuzadek. Does the first woman need to be in agreement with taking a second wife?
I'm the senior wife. We've been together 18 years. I don't think, if you want to say biblically, that it's necessary that the first wife agrees to it, but I do say if you want a happy home and you want peace, you definitely want to make sure that your wife is in agreement. It's best to actually let her be part of the process. That way it can be harmonious and everybody gets the best of the polygamy.
That's an interesting answer. So what would you say to the men that have a wife and their wife is just so against polygyny, but they really, really want polygyny?
Tell him that maybe she needs to speak with someone who is in a polygyny relationship, and maybe she can understand that it's the values of it and the importance and even the blessing that it can be. And once maybe if she's around it and she sees the blessing that it can be, maybe she can open up to it.
I want to play devil advocate.
Okay.
Suppose you come into you have your wife and you've been married for some years and you've never brought the concept of polygyny to your wife, but then you see other couples, other polygynous positive couples that that are going right, and you just want to come up and say, well, you know what, the Bible said I can do this, the Bible said I can do that, and you want to just up and say I want to bring a wife in and you better conform. How does that work? Because you've never introduced her or even asked her if she's interested or if she's interested in polygyny. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
How do you work around that? Do you just say, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway because I can, or do you respect your wife's wishes? That's something that a lot of men should consider, because you can't just come up and say, well, you know what, it's in the book, we could do this. And then what if your wife of 15, 20 years don't want it?
Would you sacrifice losing her in order to gain another one, which you'll be back at one?
No, that's what I'm saying. That man has to really consider that. This question is from being without a congregation or fellowship. How do you find a suitable woman or ways to find a helpmeet for the family?
Getting to know people. We're in a time where social media is prevalent. You have to find like minds. So with you finding like minds and like people, you will find people who are under the same understanding. And it's really important to take your time and get to know a person. I know that a lot of people do power talk, or they're on YouTube, or they're on Facebook, or whatever social media they have, and fellowshipping with their people, that's one outlet in getting to know.
I mean, the thing about it, I would ask, why aren't you part of a congregation? Because the book says, gather yourself, O nation undesired. And maybe there's not people in your area. But I think we should start thinking about actually moving and migrating to places where there are people that want to build communities, you know? Like such as Shomer HaTorah, you know, and build the nation and the community. And this question is... He said, is there a financial qualification to having multiple wives today? For instance, in Torah, the men had to have enough to take care of all the women without diminishing the goods of the first. Today, women can work too and bring money in. Y'all want to answer that?
I would say it is a necessity for some type of income to be in a home. Also, you don't want to leave the power into the woman's hands. You don't want to leave all the power into the woman's hands. If you have a man in a polygynous relationship, I think, if he's not working, he's not bringing in any bread, he's not doing anything productive in the house, he's not going to be the man in that house. If the woman is solely bringing in all the money, taking care of the house, paying all the bills, she's going to have to say so. She's going to let him know, well, listen, this is going to be me. And it's right. It's rightly so. The man should, you know, step up and be a man.
Hello, yeah.
I was just going to say, even if you read Proverbs 31, the woman did have, she did work. So it's not that just that in biblical times that the men solely did things. Women did things to help out their household, whether it was work in the field, make goods, acquire land. They did do that. I think that it's a collaboration. It was a collaboration then, and it will be a collaboration now.
Okay, and I completely agree. Like we get the misunderstanding that women didn't work back in the days, but if you read Proverbs 31, yeah, she completely worked and brought in income. Yeah, no, so I stepped away for a second. No, all right, we have a caller. Yes. Hello, caller.
I said, when you are presented with the idea to be in a polygynous relationship, did it come natural?
For me, actually, well, both of us were raised in a polygynous relation. Our parents were in polygynous relationships, so we were familiar with it. But for me, originally, I didn't want it for myself. So it did take getting used to and adjusting myself. But once I learned the person who was coming into the relationship, it made it a whole lot easier to adjust to the situation.
You gotta have like minds. You can't have somebody that's coming in and think they're just gonna take over the world like Pinky in the Brain. It's just not gonna work. You have to work together. Other than that, it's just not gonna work.
If I could share something, initially I was slower than a lot of males, but I ended up, when I moved to Georgia, I kind of hit a downward spiral in my younger years, and I was kind of like a dog in the beginning, you know. And I would try to bring people into a relationship, and not even trying to check their credentials or see if they're qualified. I was just so excited about having polygyny that a lot of times it didn't necessarily work out. So this was actually a match made in heaven by the Creator, because He put together two people that love and care for each other. And then I had to change my ways and to seek the Lord and do more spiritual transformations in my life.
Okay, because a lot of the times, like especially when the first video came out, there was one sister in particular that was saying a lot of nasty things, like, oh, it's lustful, he's being greedy, and so on. How do you prepare your children to deal with that sort of like rumors or back talk?
That's a good question. It was easy because we talked to our children. We communicated with our children. They understood the situation. They understood that people can be vicious, and that can happen in any type of relationship. Even if it's a monogamous relationship, people can always try to hurt that couple for whatever spiteful reasons. But I think that if you communicate with your children and really allow them to see the beauty of the relationship, and not if they see it in a negative light, then they'll agree with what's being said. But if they see the beauty in it and they see the love that's given to them and to each other, then they're more likely to understand that people are just basically doing that, hating.
And not only that, it's also it's also in the hands of the parents that's involved in that relationship. We have to diligently teach our children every day, because if they don't understand that concept, they're just gonna see it as a negative thing.
Okay, and don't ever think that we didn't understand that by us putting the video out that we were gonna get a lot of negative backlash. We understand how people are hurtful, and we understand how people are drawn to negativity, and how when their life is spiraling out of control, they try to grab others down with them. So we kind of already understood that we're built for this, you know. We take the good, the bad, whatever is thrown our way, and we just pray to the Creator and just try to continue to be a light in what we're doing.
Do you guys think this was the absolute best decision you all made?
Yes.
Yes. Well, I definitely think. I think this is the best decision I ever made in my life.
Y'all are an absolutely wonderful example of polygamy. And the way y'all sit down, I don't know if y'all talk about how y'all sit down and talk everything out and stuff when y'all do have an issue. But it's just good the way y'all all care about each other instead of it, you know.
Hello. Thanks for calling. The question is...
Do you know what it is?
I don't know this.
All right.
How do you deal with your husband bringing a second woman in the house, which he's already slept with, without him telling you or beforehand? Why does your husband expect you to accept it after you've already slept with the woman?
The brother made a big mistake. You don't make a mess and then try to clean it up later. If you're man enough, then you speak and present the information to your wife. If you're not man enough to discuss what you think or what you like, then you don't have the testosterone that's needed to really take on the polygamous relationship. Hold on 1 second.
Cause the two women to go against each other.
You gotta
Yes,
ask
you have to,
ask questions so we can record it.
It should be something that they're building together, and
I'm put it up tomorrow.
once it's already, you've done what you did, and now you want to make it right by saying, oh, we're going to just all be together. That's a mess waiting to happen. That's my opinion.
I mean,
sorry, I'm not trying to offend anyone.
No, it's just like your wife is your best friend. If you can't tell your best friend what you're going through, then that shows either you don't respect her as your best friend, or it shows you don't respect her as your best friend. It even gets to the point if somebody talks to me or texts me a lot, I tell my wife, hey, so this person's texting me a lot, you know, because you don't want things to be a secret, and then you got to fight all of that in the beginning, and then it's troublesome, and then there's envy and jealousy already from the start. You will always have a better chance finding someone that your wife like if you push it, and your wife will end up being involved in that, you know. And if they aren't, like my wife said earlier, you need to create that environment and have them call people that are dealing with a polygamous relationship, because sometimes women reject polygyny because they don't see it. And when they do see it, they see a bad example. So you have to create an environment that's conducive for the growth of polygynous relationships. Mm-hmm. So you will have to have a person that's involved in polygyny. Your wife will have to see it, because nobody wants to be an outcast. First of all, we take on the title of Hebrew Israelites. Most of our families disown us when we take this title. We're outcasted by society. Now we want to take another step and say, well, not only are we Hebrews, but we're polygynous, or we're in a polygamous relationship. And that's another thing that your wife has to deal with from the outside world. So a lot of times we are people that deal with the power of empathy. We have empathetic neurons that trigger when we want to fit into society, and that's why a lot of us, we evolve into what our habitat or our environment wants us to be. So we have to create an environment that's conducive for polygamy.
And I would say, don't think that because it's a custom that you have to do it, because polygyny is not for everyone. It's just not. You have to be strong above all levels to be in a polygynous relationship. It's definitely not for the weak, and it's not for everyone.
It's a hard thing to do as a man, and you know, some of us like to be left alone and we don't want to be bothered, but we have a lot of catering we need to do to our women's emotional needs. You know, like even when this camera go off, you know, I gotta love my wives, man, and spend time with them, and I have to make that mandatory, you know, and you have to do it twice as much. And can you handle that as a man? You have to ask yourself an honest question. Are you willing to be up in sometimes the emotional ups and downs and talking to your woman and getting her through the struggles, or is she helping you get through the struggles that you have? I mean, there's a lot to it, so there's a lot to consider as a brother, as a man. And what makes you respectable is if your polygyny is working.
Letting these women, if you're very interested in a woman, let her meet someone who has a positive polygynous relationship. Let them speak to someone. Let them see the benefits. I mean, like, we have together 14 children. We don't have to worry about finding babysitters 90% of the time, 99% of the time. We have, our children are linked together. They do things together. They don't need an outside source because they have enough siblings. The list goes on and on about how we can help each other. I think that a lot of times what women are scared of is something that they're probably already dealing with. Most women are dealing with a man who some form or some way is already having another woman. When they say they don't want to share, it might be something deeper why they don't want to share. I think that just basically letting them see that there are positive polygynous relationships will somewhat encourage them to know that it's okay to do it.
Would like to say that don't force it. Don't force it. Don't keep bringing it to her. Oh, I want to have another wife. Oh, I want to have another wife. Can I get another wife? Because you want it to come natural. Because if it's forced, it won't be right. You want it to come natural. You don't want to keep forcing this on a woman. If she doesn't want it, she doesn't want it. You can't force her. You can't beat it in her head.
And then you have to be real with yourself. A lot of us brothers, we get into a polygynous relationship, or we get into a relationship with an individual who we know is not down for polygyny, and then later on we try to force it upon them, like my wife said. So we have to be truthful. If we know we're polygynous, then don't get with people that are not polygynous minded. You know. So these are some of the things that we have to be real. And there's a you know, people think that it's rare for women to be involved in one polygyny. That's kind of like the world is changing now. Even if you listen to a lot of black radio shows today, polygyny is a hot topic, and a lot of women afford that. You know, a lot of women been hurt, a lot of women been destroyed. Only thing a woman wants now sometimes is just a man to be truthful, and being truthful sometimes is a turn on to a lot of women that are either that they haven't been hurt, and some women that have been hurt, because all they want is a man that's man enough to say the truth to them and tell them what the reality is. And then they see that you're taking care of your household or you're doing something great, and then it becomes you're a walking resume, and they'll fall in love with you about something like that. So the world is leaning towards polygyny. I have to find out then what are some of the insecurities that's plaguing the woman and build her up so she won't have any more of these insecurities. And we have to understand that. So now it's just you have to change your circle. You have to figure out what circle I'm going to be involved in, or who I'm going to talk to, or who I'm going to build with, because there's a lot of people that's 100% down for that. And polygyny is for really spiritual-minded people, and I thank the Creator, because I don't say polygyny works because of me. Polygyny works because of these two beautiful women over here, and putting up with me, dealing with me, and above all things, I couldn't pray for a better scenario on what they put together. You know, sometimes we have disagreements on things or little things, you know what I mean? But for the most part, these women are the greatest two women on the planet to me, because they made my fantasy or a thought that I had in my reality, they brought it into reality for me, and they were dynamic. So the thing is just, bro, it's just finding people that and then everything is a draw too. It's how you present yourself. When I walk in the room, right, I look like a polygynist. I look like a polygynist. You know what I mean? It's the way it's my appearance, the way I set myself up. Imagine a brother coming to a sister and he got a baseball jersey on, some Timbos, some skinny jeans, and he talking about he a polygamist. it don't really go together. You know what I'm saying? That people are really not buying that package. It kind of throws them off. So it's a lot of stuff that we put out there, but we just gotta build.
When dealing with a woman, should you give your first wife a certain amount of time before you take on another one?
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
of course.
definitely. At least biblically, at least a year, right? But I even say more than that.
Yeah,
I say more than that, especially if she's your first wife. Give her at least 5 years. 5 years, if you can more. 5 years. 5 years of just you and her, and you building her, loving her, getting her ready.
As a polygynous woman, what is the most challenging aspect of living in this way of life? Like any relationship, finding time to communicate, to rebuild, to build up, continue a relationship. With everybody having things going on, children, work, lives, you just finding that medium where you have that you're actually building on your relationship. That to me is important.
And I also want to add to that, being honest and open, and communication. Those are some very positive and important keys that we should keep in mind with being inside of a polygynous relationship, because if you can't be honest, it's just not going to work. And communication is definitely the key.
Okay, it says when all of you have a major decision, is one wife looked upon to make the decision, or is the decision agreed upon as a unit?
Depends.
Yeah, because the obvious answer would say, yeah, we all do it, but that's not true. Sometimes we leave it into the hands of a person that makes the best decisions of that. Or sometimes we know if somebody's more emotionally attached to a situation, we allow them to make that decision, you know? Like, if I don't really care much about it, and me and Roey really don't care much about it, and the Tara is like head over heels about it, then we leave it to her to make that decision, you know? So sometimes we come together collectively and make decisions, and sometimes we don't have time to collectively make decisions. It's all based off a person's wisdom that they possess at that time.
Yeah, I agree with that answer. And if it's something that definitely is going to, like, I know it's a major, but depending on the severity of it and if it's going to affect us, then definitely it's something that we will all be agreed upon.
Okay. What are the sleeping arrangements?
Okay. Well, we do have separate rooms. We have a king-size bed that we both, myself and my sister, we sleep in, and our husband sleeps in another room. I hope that answers your question.
We have another question from an individual, and this is the one we get all the time. This is that question. That question. How does intimacy work? Are there designated days assigned to each wife so there is no one feeling left out?
I would say we do. I mean, sex is not a taboo topic in our relationship. We do speak about it. We do have something between ourselves to say, okay, you're gonna use your card tonight, or am I gonna use my card tonight, or you know, we do talk about it. It's nothing to sneak off. Well, you know, she went to the store, so let me get my quickie in, or okay, let her go inside the bathroom when she in the shower. No, we do discuss it because we're consenting adults. So we don't want it to seem as though one gets more than the other. So we discuss it, and not only that, you know, we do have times where one of us is unclean, one is not unclean. That woman that's unclean sleeps in a totally different bed, and there's your time. There's your 7 days.
We work different schedules. Tara works in the evening. I'm working during the day. So with that set schedule, you have your set times where you have opportune times. But like Tara said, it's not like it's a secret. Like we're like, shh, I'm gonna sleep. Let's go whisper. We're not tiptoeing. We're grown, consenting adults. With that set schedule, you have your set times where you have opportune times. But like Tara said, it's not like it's a secret. Like we're like, shh, I'm gonna sleep. Let's go whisper. We're not tiptoeing. We're grown, consenting adults. So we do have to communicate, and it's not a big issue.
The question was asked, what do we expect from a third or fourth wife coming in? What do you expect from her? What kind of characteristics does she have?
Definitely she has to be caring and loving, considerate. Definitely have to consider the fact that there's a lot of children in this house. Also, another one should not come in with a selfish attitude. Meaning, don't come in with the attitude, well, they've been here 3, 4, 5 years, she's been here umpteen years, and I'm his new booty, so I'm going to come in and take him all to my town. I'm going to have him to myself. No, that's not how it is. Because if I can't remember, me coming in, we did a lot of things together. Never once did I have that attitude and say, well, you know what, I'm going to take him off, leave Rofana with the kids. Me and Nasi's going to go off and have fun and go out on dates and dates and dates because I'm new. No, we've done a lot of things together. And yeah, you may have times where you do want that alone one-on-one time. But it's not the notion to say, well, you know what, I'm entitled to that because I'm new and I expect that all the time. No. So definitely she has to come in with that attitude that it's a family thing. And we do a lot of things together.
I also think that she has to come in with not saying that she's a servant, but a submissive attitude, because it's not like, you know, it's coming in and running this corporation. We are a corporation. Amen. But it has to be ran with, and we've built a bond, so she has to come in and be willing to build not just a relationship with Nasi, but also with us, because it's not going to work if it's just them and then it's us. It's not a battle or a tug of war game. So it's important.
Another question. This is from Naima. She wants to know, what do you say to people that say polygyny is for male chauvinists and is only driven by sexual desires and lust of the male's ego? What do you say about that?
I would say, based on pattern and based on history, I can understand why she would say that. Because a lot of men do have this notion and say, well, you know what, I'm instead of me sneaking and going out there, why don't I just call it polygamy and go and bring as many women as I can? And most men do it just to say, well, I have this amount of women. Most women do it for ego. My understanding of polygyny is nation building. If you don't have that purpose of building a nation, what's your purpose of multiplying women? Just to say, well, I got 4 women and they all know about each other? Because that's something really big that a man could say nowadays. Nowadays, a man can't say, well, I have 2 women and they both know about each other. You know, it would be a battle between the women, or it would be a sneak, well, she don't know about her. I go on business trips and, you know, they don't know about each other. So, I don't know.
There was a question out there, what is our average food bill for the month?
About $2,000.
Yeah.
About $2,000? Okay. Wow.
Especially since we try to eat healthy.
Yeah, y'all feed the elephants. All right.
By the way, these are the twins that I was pregnant with the last video. They're about 5 months old. That's Zanaya and this is Zakai. Say shalom.
After living this life, what has been the most enjoyable part of your polygynous relationship? Gaining family and enjoying the children growing up and interacting with each other, and just finding that that median where it's not always perfect, but it's more perfect than it is miserable, and just enjoying our children and enjoying each other.
I would say having someone to talk to about him. Because think about it, you know, let's say, you know, marriage is not perfect. We already know that. Everybody goes through their ups and downs. You know, you want somebody to cry on. You're kind of resilient to calling your best friend because you don't want your business out there. And you're kind of leery about telling your parents because you don't want your parents to say, I told you so. So you have your sister wife to talk to about him, and you know it's not going anywhere. So that's the fun part.
But yeah, I guess that it's the confident part. It's just, like you said, it's communication. Have somebody to talk to. I mean, we all sometimes we don't agree, but at the end of the day, we always love each other, and we're gonna make sure try our best to make everything work. Like you said, we have more good than bad times, and that's it. Basically, that's my answer to that.